Mr. Todd Stein.
Good morning, everybody. So it's great to be here with you. You know, I started in the business about 3 years ago, and it's been quite a whirlwind. And I knew when I came in the door, one thing was I just wanted to be good at it and not break any laws, insurance laws in the process. But it has been quite a whirlwind. It's filled with ups and downs. And what I've learned is, you know, how do you survive in this business? It starts with how do you survive the ups and downs? It's really about having a lot of activity. You got to have a lot of appointments because they're not all going to be great, especially when you're new. So I kind of think of activity as the heartbeat of our business. And to create it, it really starts with having a strong foundation of discipline around it. So you can't really have activity without the discipline. And I've learned about discipline from early on. I was very fortunate in our business. While I had an immediate passion for our business, as many of you do from my own family experience, passion alone is great, but it won't cut it without the discipline. And so I went to the Institute, as many of you did, and one of the first things about discipline for me that was, for those of you that know me, perhaps a little difficult, was leaving my ego at the door. And realizing that I don't know a thing about this business, and I was really a sponge. I did what they told me. You hear us say this a lot. Just do what they tell you to do, especially for the new people in the room. Do what your sales leaders, do what your mentors tell you to do. It works. And don't think you know more than the other people, because you don't. So you do what they told me to do. I did what they told me to do, and more importantly, or as importantly, I asked a boatload of questions, probably to the point of annoyance for people in my training group. And I got good on the phone first. I think that discipline of setting those appointments and getting really good on the phone, and that initial coaching, and if you're not setting the appointments and you're new, get the help. Get on track. Because getting good on the phone is the most important thing, the first discipline you have to achieve. And I wasn't good initially, but I just kept going and going and going. It was so relevant what Chris Gardner was saying. I loved his speech this morning because it is about getting up and doing it over and over and over, and you just get better and better as you do it. And I was very fortunate. You know, my sales leader mentored me and watched me, coached me, counseled me, beat me up if needed. And you know, discipline, one of the big disciplines for me when I was new, and there'll be varying thoughts on this topic, but I called my sales leader after every appointment for at least the first 100 appointments or so, when I was backing out of the driveway. It was not optional. I'm not going to say everyone did it, but I was told to do it, and I did it, and I would not be where I am in the business if I didn't do that. Because that debriefing of what happened in those initial appointments was the biggest learning in the business. And having that discipline to make it just your rule of thumb, you're going to back out of that driveway and pick that phone up, or your cell phone, and talk about what happened. And a sales leader who asked me the questions, how did you solidify the sale? How did you develop need? And would tell me right then and there whether I was going to keep that business or not, based on what I did and didn't do. And so that is so valuable, and I encourage us to have that be a mandate. If you're a new agent, expect it of a sales leader. If you're a sales leader, I would encourage you to mandate it of your new agents. And I also think that listening is such a critical part of what we do. And another thing that's hard to get good at. Now, again, different schools of thought. I'm of the belief that you can't be a great phone salesperson until you're good on the phone, until you're good in the home. I think you can't rush to the phone. And I think that seeing people in person and using those body cues and building that rapport, especially when you don't sort of have it all dialed and you're still trying to find your way and remember the script and remember not to break any insurance laws and remember the things that you were taught in the Institute It's hard, and having those face-to-face cues, I think, are really important. So for me, it was really valuable to begin my career in the home. And I know that not everyone wants to do that, and there's a discussion, people want to rush to the phone. I don't think it's appropriate for everyone. I think it's so valuable to be in the home first. Because listening on the phone is a lot harder, because you don't have body cues. And the biggest thing you have to do in our business, from a listening perspective, another thing that wasn't necessarily so easy for me, for those of you that know me, was shutting up and listening, asking the questions, and then let your client answer the question and let it take you where it needs to go, rather than filling in the blanks and continuing to talk over people and so forth. So don't interrupt your clients, some of the things I've learned. Keep them focused and staying on message, that's a discipline. If you're sitting in a 3-hour appointment, chances are it's not a very disciplined appointment. And a key component of checking your ego at the door is, at least for me, was realizing and internalizing that this is not about me. This is about them. And every day when I go to work, every morning when I wake up, every person I talk to and try to help, yes, I make this my living this way, but this is about them and the advocacy that I do for them. And kind of that segues into my belief system that, you talk about discipline, what drives me to be motivated, have the activity, have the discipline, excuse me, it really is a belief system. I know in my mind that I'm the difference potentially if these people need long-term care. I'm potentially the difference between whether or not they go on welfare. I'm the difference, potentially, between whether or not these people are going to be able to leave an inheritance to their children. I'm the difference between whether they're going to be a burden on their families or their spouses, their kids or their spouses. And I'm the difference between whether they're going to get the quality of care that they deserve or not. Those are my 4 big beliefs that drive what I do every day. And I think that helps you focus on maintaining the discipline and then therefore the activity. And another thing is work ethic. Cameron asked yesterday, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I work that hard because I believe so much in that. And I'm very passionate about doing this for a living. I'm not just, it's not just about making a living for me. That's really important, obviously. And I live in San Francisco, so it's not cheap, so I have to sell a lot of insurance to make a living that I need to make. But I wouldn't work this hard just for money. I don't think anyone would work this hard just for the money. I think you have to be passionate and bring that to it. But I work, 12 to 14 hours a day, and I set a boatload of appointments. And I'm on the phone jam every Saturday morning with Gene and Rhonda, and I learn every day. I participate, I share, I learn. If you're not on those calls, I strongly encourage it. Again, I think it's a critical part of the brain trust that we offer, that we share here. And, that's what you do when you own a business. These are the things you do when you run a business and you own a business. And you get up and self-employment. My dad was self-employed. I wondered all my life, why did he work so hard? Now I get it. Self-employment is a lot of work. It is not a part-time job. And I never stopped being a student of the business. Excuse me. I'll always reach out and ask for help. I'll take a class, call top producers, ask for opinion or feedback. And I try to take the best of what everyone tells me, and incorporate it into me. Because at the end of the day, my clients find me. I'm never going to be just one of whatever everyone tells me. It's a conglomeration. You take the best and you leave the rest of what you learn from everyone around you. But it's such as I said, a brain trust of people to filter through and to learn from. And, discipline, all this comes with challenges. I just want to say, we talk about peaks and valleys of our business, and it's really important not to get too high on the highs and too low on the lows. You got to kind of stay through. And when it's bad, and it can be bad, I had a bad day on Thursday. Things just didn't go well at all. And you just get up and you walk away and you go take the dog for a walk or go exercise or just get away from it for a little bit. And then you come back and you get back on the phone. If you had cancellations, you fill your calendar. That's what we do. You fill the holes on your calendar and you get back to work. Without that discipline on the tough days, you don't have the activity. Because it's easy to stay on the phone and dial when it's all going great, right? Sometimes you don't want to hang up because you're on a roll. What's hard, and where the discipline comes in, is how do you pick that phone up when it's not going so well? And you've got to trudge through that. I have to trudge through that every time. Just keep going and realize this doesn't define me, and that doesn't. The great days don't define me, and the crappy days, for lack of a better word, don't define me. It's just all part of what we do. And at the end of the day also, you got to remember, or I have to always remember, that everything I'm doing is ultimately going to help people and their families. That's another thing that gets me to pick that phone up again. So also, I'm fastidious about my process. Setting appointments, seeing appointments, following up on deliveries, working with the carriers, underwriting. Those that are here, the carriers will tell you I talk to them a lot. I think that's all part of the discipline of it. Also, using the CRM for me and the discipline that I approach that, and you know, I use it all the time. I set my appointments in and I send my emails and my confirmations to clients. So everything's in there, all my notes are in there. So I encourage you, and I know many of you are going to see us later today in the CRM training, but if you're not engaged in using the CRM as a business tool, I mean, it changed my life this year. It absolutely changed my life this year. And for that, I'm so grateful. Deliver a policy with a handwritten note. That is something that I am a big believer in. And lastly, just be grateful. Activity and discipline goes along with it. It's really being grateful. Look what we have around us. Look what, I look at where I came in knowing nothing about the insurance business, and I went and I got information from so many people in this room, and we're so lucky to have this partnership and our carriers and this brain trust. It's the best in the industry. And for all those that have helped me, shown me the ropes, mentored me, taught my classes, talked me off a ledge, I'm so grateful. And I wouldn't have the discipline or the activity or the business without you guys. So thank you.